have a pretty pedicure, Karen.
I'm glad my toes were done. I am so glad my toes were done because that would be quite embarrassing. So are we live? We are live.
We are live.
Are we live?
Hi.
Hi. Do we have anybody joining? Hello. I'm Karen. This is Tina.
Hi.
Let's see.
Oh, it's a delayed feed. We're going to give people a few seconds to join. So, because otherwise we'll just be having a conversation with ourselves, which is fine.
Well, I don't mind having a conversation with you.
I don't either.
I kind of like talking to you.
I know, a little bit.
Sometimes.
A little bit.
It's just kind of awkward to be doing it on video.
Not for me. I videotape myself all the time. No, I don't. I don't. But I did like doing that little Thrive thing. I played it back several times.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. When I gave my little Thrive little testimony.
Oh, and you were actually pretty good on that.
I was good. Mm-hmm.
You should have been an actress in your lifetime.
Maybe. I do have I've been told.
Did you ever do like plays and musicals in school?
No.
You didn't?
I did some at church, but I never got the lead part. So.
Well, I did.
Hey.
I was in 8th grade and I got the lead part in the school play. And I ended up with Best Actress Award.
Wow.
Just so you know.
Runs in the family. Must be where Tim and Joey got their talent.
That's what I say, but everybody blames their dad. Or gives their dad credit. I don't know. Hi, Annie. Hi, Danielle.
Hey, we have 2 people.
Yay! We're not talking to ourselves. That's kind of the cool thing.
Okay, tell them what we want to do.
So this is our idea. We've been talking about how we could get out to other women and minister to them where they are. So we know we've heard several times throughout the Bible studies, women that want to be able to come, but they can't necessarily always leave their home because they have small children or they have other obligations. So anyway, just came up with an idea of, hey, let's do some things live and just see what kind of an audience we have, see if there's anybody interested. And with Mother's Day coming up, I decided, you know what, let's do this. Let's launch it for this week. And Tina has agreed to be my co-host.
Yay!
So Tina and I are sister-in-laws. Probably most of you know that, but we are sister-in-laws, and we've been friends. I think I was 16 when we met, and you were 17. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right. That sounds about right. And by the way, she met me. I was in the bathtub, and Cheryl.
I wasn't going to tell that.
Well, they did. Cheryl Wiley walked her and Barbie in, and I was started to say butt naked. So, and that's how we first met. So that was a long time ago.
It is. So she has no secrets from us anymore. At that very moment, she was secretless. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we've been doing life since we were very young. And as you may know or may not know, we married brothers who happen to be twins. And if you are familiar with twins, it's a good thing that we like each other because twins do a lot of stuff together. Mm-hmm. And so we did most of our life together. So Dan and I are celebrating 34 years this year, and you guys are celebrating
35 in just a few weeks,
years.
about a month.
She's getting
I don't look it. I know. I was a baby. I don't look it.
You don't look it.
I don't.
You look pretty.
I don't hardly have any wrinkles.
I know. I have more wrinkles than you, and you're a year older than me. But anyway, so we wanted to talk a little bit about motherhood. And just, you know, between the two of us, we raised 6 boys. 6. And we think they turned out pretty awesome. We like them a little bit anyway.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
But
they're good men.
I will say, we have the 6 boys, but then we also have our grandsons that by far are much more intelligent than our children ever were. And cuter, I think.
They're adorable.
Although we had some very cute boys and very intelligent boys, I think our grandsons are even more so. So anyway, just a little bit. Let's talk about motherhood.
Okay. Shoot. What do we want to talk about?
Let's talk
we
about
got a lot of stories.
Let's talk about challenges. I saw a thing on Facebook today that actually said, do you remember the first time you held your baby?
I do.
What was that like?
Well, for me, I was kind of groggy because I'd had an emergency cesarean and I didn't get to hold him for 12 hours. And the nurse actually had to wake me up to hold my baby because I was really snoozing good. But so I do remember that specific time with
Look,
him.
Tim said he resents my comment. Tim, I love you. You're sweet and intelligent and smart, but my grandsons really are too.
He won't resent it once he has a grandson.
He won't. He'll
because
get it.
you'll get it. Yeah.
He'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first time I held my first one too, but I wasn't groggy. I was wide awake. But I just remembered this sudden sense of responsibility. And I was up all night with him. He just cried and cried and cried all the time. And I didn't know what to do. And I just kept feeding him and feeding him. And he'd throw up and I'd feed him again and he'd throw up more and feed him and throw up. And we did this like all night long to the point I was in tears. And, you know, because back then you just were sent home. You had a baby and you went home. And I remember the next morning calling my mom. She came and got me and I went in her house and I slept and she put him on a feeding schedule.
Was that Jeremiah?
It was Jeremiah. Yeah. I just remember it being really hard, but I was so young.
You were very young. I was old. I was all of almost 25.
Yeah.
You were a baby.
I
I was
was.
smart enough to wait.
And I think the hardest part of that process was just no sleep.
Oh, yeah. That was horrible. The no sleep part, I think for David and I, after Zachary was born, we don't argue. We just don't. And we were the meanest to each other that we've ever been in our whole entire marriage.
Yeah.
When Zachary was a baby because we were so sleep
You just
deprived.
don't sleep.
Yeah.
You don't sleep.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember Dennis Kemp making a statement after Jeremiah was born. And he said, you know, it's really ironic that we spend the first year of our kid's life teaching them to walk and talk. And then we spend the next 17 years telling them to sit down and shut up.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We can't hardly wait for the milestones. We're so excited when they start sitting up and crawling and all that, and then all of a sudden they're running around 2-year-olds and you're pulling your hair out, just wanting them to sit down and play just for a little bit, quietly.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. So toddlers, that brings us into toddlers. Because
Yeah.
they just run.
yeah.
So what do you think the biggest challenge was during toddler age?
Well, there really wasn't much challenge with Zachary because Zachary was, well,
Perfect child.
he was a perfect child, and he was very obedient, and we would just have to threaten to spank his popo. I don't even think he knew what that meant. We called it popo because that's what Granny called it.
Yeah.
And then he would do what you wanted him to do, but you know. And then we were watching you with your guys's, and you had your hands full, and we kind of felt like our job was pretty easy.
Hi, Susie.
And then you got Charlie, and I can remember thinking, holy moly, they need to get control of their kids. Their kids are out of control. Charlie was running out of the house, escaping. And so we kind of set up on a high horse thinking we had this all under control. We knew exactly how to parent. You didn't need to spank. You just set them in time.
I resented her
Yeah.
because she had the perfect child.
Yeah. So, and
He even had the perfect curl on his
he
head.
did. He was adorable. And then we got Eric, and we had to go back and apologize to Dan and Karen for all the things we'd ever said about Chase or Charlie.
You love Eric.
Because Eric wasn't a bad baby. Eric was just very strong-willed and very, he pushed the limits. So we had to totally rethink our parenting skills at that point. We were humbled. We were humbled. So Charlie, we're sorry for all the mean things we ever said about you as a baby. You really weren't that bad of a baby. But
Yeah. Toddlers are definitely a hard part because they do just have a lot of energy. Mine did. Mine has so much energy. And I think being the working mom of toddlers even was harder because you're just exhausted all the time.
yeah.
What about tweens? That adolescent age right before they hit the teens. Yeah.
I thought I was a really good mom until my boys hit about that age, and then I had no clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
No clue. I relied on David a lot at that point. Because before then, the little ones kind of want you. They kind of want mommy. They want mommy. And then, Lord, when tweens hit, I was ready to give them to dad. That was horrible.
Yeah. And boys, it's kind of funny. We don't really have an experience with girls, but with boys, about the age of 9. they start getting, I do.
They're big crybabies.
They are big crybabies.
They're so emotional.
Such an emotional year. And I guess it's all the hormones. Who knows?
Nothing's ever fair. Just if you are a parent of a 9-year-old,
So true.
just live with it. You will get through it. Nothing is ever fair. You're mean. They hate you. It's horrible. We are horrible to them, but...
You know what my response was to my kids when I heard the words, "That's not fair"?
What?
I don't know if any of my boys are watching. My response was, "Oh, you don't think it's fair? No, what's not fair is a child that has legs but can't run. A child that has eyes but can't see. A child that has a mouth but can't speak. That's not fair."
So you were making fun of Tim because he couldn't run very well? Was he wearing glasses by then?
You're bad. She's a bad aunt.
Hey, Tim admits it. Tim admits it. He didn't like sports very much. I think that's why he got into the arts, because he didn't like to run.
Oh, he's giving you the ugh. He's giving you the ugh.
He didn't like to run.
But you know what? None of us. I can't run either. It's genetics. Sorry, my kids can't run. It's genetic. I don't even think my nieces and nephews can run either.
I think Chase. I think
Chase.
Jeremiah can run.
No.
Chase played. No,
I think he can. Chase
he just
can
doesn't
run.
like to.
Chase
He's
can
admitted that.
Yeah, Charlie can run. I think he's the only one that can run. And yeah, I think he was outrunning everybody. He had to. Carrie can't run either. See, and I don't think Kenny can either. I think Kenny had problems running. So I think it's genetics. We'll blame it on genetics.
Okay, well, I told you about my tweens.
Yeah.
What about your tweens?
Oh, well.
You had them like all at the same time.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. They were. I was crazy. You know what? Right about the tween age is when I realized I'm going to absolutely lose my mind. And we took parenting classes.
Is that when you ran away from home? Or was that younger? She ran away from home one time.
It might be around.
She didn't leave Dan. She just ran away from home for a little bit.
I did. I was wanting to leave everybody. I was just not in a good place at that point in my life.
It was sad.
And it was sad. So I was, Kendra said Kenny can't run either. See, I knew it. It's genetics. So, you know what? We took parenting classes because we realized, you know what, 4 boys, and we had them from ages, I think they were 12 to 4 at that point, and we just were like losing our minds. And we both had full-time jobs. And
we didn't invite them over very much during that period of time.
No,
they had too many kids.
If I remember right, everybody always came to our house.
Yeah.
They had you and Barbie always came to our house.
Well, we did get a big playroom. Yeah. And that did help because we could shove all of the kids, including Tom and Barbie's 3, who were, Lord, add a decimal, several decimal levels to our house of 6 boys with their 2 and 1 girl.
Yeah.
And, wow, we had a house full of kids.
We did. But it was so much fun.
Oh my gosh, it was a lot of blast.
It was a lot of fun. But our parenting classes, so we did. We took them. And it was the best thing we could have done. It just, what we realized and what we found out at that point, that it really wasn't that we had bad kids. It was the fact that we just didn't have right expectations of our kids.
Yeah.
And it helped us to just kind of refocus and realize that when your kids are acting out and they're doing things the way they do, it's really 9 times out of 10, it's the parents. You're not parenting right.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
And and we recognized at that point we needed help, and if nothing else, we needed a night out, and that gave us a night out by taking parenting classes.
Yeah.
But it was the best thing we could have done.
Yeah.
And
I think you need to do that at the church. I think you need to get a parenting class together.
I think so. We learned so much.
If you guys would be interested in that, if anybody would, give us some comments so that we know. I think that would be great. Yep. I know for me, I had always prayed over my kids from they were babies, and that was just a normal thing to do. But when they were about tweens, that's when I got into the Stormy O'Martin Power of a Praying Parent. And I tell you what, that was crucial for me. And again, a lot of times when I was praying through that book, the Holy Spirit reflected my issues. Yeah. It wasn't my kids, it was me, and how I was responding to them or reacting to them or disciplining them, and the Holy Spirit did a lot of work in my life because of my kids.
And isn't that
praying over my
interesting?
kids.
Isn't that interesting? That you find out more about yourself when you're parenting than you do anything. And especially when you're taking classes or reading books, what you find out more is what you need to change, not so much
Oh,
the
absolutely.
kids. And then when you change, you start seeing a difference in your children.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the things that we found out. All right, teenagers. Woohoo.
I'm going to tell you moms right now, the young moms and the moms of teenagers, if you ever pray that God would reveal the secret sins of your children, that is one prayer that he doesn't wait on. It's like, I have prayed that, walked out of my bedroom and been answered right there in front of my face. So be real careful that you really want to know what those secret sins are, because he's going to answer that prayer for you.
He will. He'll reveal them.
Yeah.
He will definitely reveal them. We used to tell the boys all the time, you know what, you have to realize, first of all, that we are always praying over you. And so we've always got you covered in prayer, but you don't know who we know that might see you, what you're doing, and will tell us. And I can't tell you how many times my kids have been told on just because of somebody saw them out and they weren't supposed to be there, or something like that always happened. And my kids, it was always revealed, and they were like, "How do you know?" And I never gave up my.
I saw Charlie one time. I called him on his cell phone. He's like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I just know these kind of things, Charlie. So you need to knock it off right now." He never did find out where I was, but I was spying on him.
Yeah, good. See,
So,
it's always good. You never know. You never, ever, ever know. I know teenage years too. That's when the kids really start really going towards their friends and not want to be so much in the family. So that was a hard time for me when I started seeing my kids push away from me a little bit. What about you?
I'm sure, but I don't know. It seems like we were kind of always around, because we were like those groupie parents. So like we followed Zachary's football team all over, and we followed the band with Eric all over the place. So it seems like we were always there, but yeah, probably so. But then again, it might have been that I was just kind of relieved that they were out of the house too for a few hours of peace and quiet. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't recall being that like brokenhearted.
Oh, I did. I got brokenhearted because I wanted my kids to think I was the cool mom, and they always told me I wasn't the cool mom.
Oh, I thought you were the cool mom. You were cooler than me. She was cooler than me.
Well, it's just great that you thought I was a cool mom.
I thought you were a very cool mom.
So, yeah, teenage years were pretty tough. And I know we had one child, and I will let him remain nameless.
Ask me later, I'll tell you which one it was.
But he was a pretty tough teen. And the problem was, and what we found out later, is that we were just way too much alike. And we both wanted the last word. We both wanted to be in control. And we really had some struggles through that process. And I remember Dan having to really kind of like get between us sometimes and cool things off. And we had some real struggles. And with my other three, I mean, we had some off and on, battles here and there that I would think would probably be typical. But with this one child, it was at times very challenging. But he just always had that strong mind, that strong head, and he was going to push the limits and do what he wanted.
So did you do with him like I did with my strong-willed child, which I have already named, so you guys know which one I'm talking about. But I knew what buttons to push. And so if I would sometimes pick a fight.
Yeah.
I mean, because I wanted my way.
Hi, Claudia. Claudia's saying hi, guys.
Hi. I wanted my way, so I would try to force that on him, and it was over stupid things. It was over things that it really didn't matter. Like, who cares if he wore the same t-shirt to high school 3 days in a row without laundering it?
Me.
I did, and I would push that, and then we would wind up, I would go to work having the guilty mom complex, and he would go to school just either feeling bad about himself or mad at me. And it wasn't worth it.
Or you thought they did.
No, I know. I could tell. I could push it to that limit.
Yeah.
And it was over it would be something like a stupid t-shirt. I mean, it was like ridiculous.
Not worth it, huh?
Not worth it at all. And so when I realized the capability I have of determining how his day was going to go or what kind of mood he was going to be in at school, I remember calling him that day on lunch hour and apologizing to him. And parents, that is so important. Let your kids hear when you've made a mistake.
Yes.
They,
Yep.
you know, I mean, obviously they think you do all the time, but it's good for them to be able to exercise forgiveness. And I remember apologizing to him. And what I wanted to hear him say was, yeah, I'm sorry, Mom, I really should have changed my shirt. But instead he just said, I know, I love you, Mom, I forgive you. Which wasn't what I wanted to hear at the time, but later I really learned to cherish those words.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you know, that is so important, Tina. It really is, that our kids, they recognize that we're not perfect. And we have to recognize we're not perfect too. And so just like you said, we have to exercise that opportunity to allow them to forgive us. So if we mess up, you know, it's be the first to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It goes a long way. So, and then, you know, hopefully it comes back that when they mess up, that they're going to do the same thing. So,
Yeah.
what about 20-somethings? To me, this is the hardest one. All of the age groups have been hard in their own way, just by the activities that's going on.
Yeah, sheer exhaustion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 20-something, I really have had a hard time, but it's such a blessing at the same time. I mean, it's so difficult as a parent to step back and have absolutely no control anymore. And you just pray and pray and pray that everything you taught them all comes together for them.
Yeah.
You know?
It is difficult because you've had all these dreams and expectations for this child that you've raised. Mm-hmm. And then when they become adults and they make their own choices, or they have different dreams and expectations of themselves, life takes them down different paths. It's hard. It's so hard to relinquish your will for them and allow them to walk and find God's will for their own life. And I'm going to share this story because it was just profound to me, and I might share it on Sunday too. So if you hear a repeat, I'm sorry about that. But it was, like I said, throughout my children's lives, I prayed over them through Stormy O. Martin's books, Power of a Praying Parent. And then as they got older, I switched to her book, The Power of a Praying Parent Over Your Adult Children. And I remember I would just take the book, whatever chapter it was. I didn't skip around. I would just, whatever chapter was next, that's what I prayed for the week over them and reflected on myself. And sometimes I skipped a week, you know, but I would still just, whatever week it was, that's the week I'd pray. And I remember and this is no surprise to my daughter-in-law, but at the time Zach and Danielle were getting married, and they were really young, and they were too young in my eyes. And I thought that Zachary, you know, he was supposed to be going to college, getting that degree, going on becoming, you know, he was going to become a pharmacist. And I had all of this planned out for him. And lo and behold, they fell in love and wanted to get married. And I love Danielle, and I've loved Danielle from day one, because she's incredible if you know her. But I was not on board with the marriage at that point in time. Fortunately, their dad, Zach's dad, came along beside him and helped him walk through that process, getting ready for that. But I really wasn't on board with it. And that week of the wedding, I got up Monday morning, I got my book out, and I opened it up to the next chapter, and it was praying that your child would find the spouse God intended for them to have. And I remember the Holy Spirit just quickened me just the minute I read the title and said, you have prayed for it all of these years. Why do you not think that I have answered that prayer for you? And it totally changed my perspective.
Yeah. And
now as we sit 7 years later with them, they've just celebrated, and I have these two beautiful grandchildren. I am so glad that God's way was better and higher than my way, because I don't think I would be this happy had not God intervened and taken Zachary down a different path than what I thought. So for me, launched into that big long story. So for me, that was the hardest part as they became adults. It's most blessing because, oh, sorry, Danielle said 8 years. Sorry, 8 years later down the road. But it's,
She's old.
sorry. But, yeah, it's just allowing God, like we've shared in a devotional I saw one time, allowing God to write their own testimonies.
Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's exciting because it's so much fun watching them become adults,
Yeah.
and you see them make,
And when they have those successes, when they marry somebody that loves them, and when you see them successful in their jobs and in the things that they're doing, if they're ministering in the church, whatever they're doing, there's just such a blessing in that,
and
watching them just grow.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be, to me, major
Yeah.
things like that. I mean,
Right.
I can remember a couple of years ago, Eric was working with me at Chicago Title, and we had adopted a family for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And there was on one of the kids' wish list, he wanted one of the gaming systems, which obviously it's not going to happen when you've got a group that's trying to, we adopt like 5 different families, and they all normally have a lot of kids. So we don't spend that much on each child. And I remember seeing Eric saw that on the list, and he took out of his own money and not only bought the gaming system for them, but controllers for the other kids in the family, and also made sure that he had a game that the whole family could play together because there were younger siblings. And I was just like, oh, what a great heart. What a
Yeah.
great young man
Yeah.
to do that. So those kind of things are rewarding. We've
Yeah.
talked more about our adult children probably because that's where we're at in life than we did all the other phases. But
It is.
yeah.
And then with the blessing of having, raising boys, we didn't have, the blessing of daughters, but we certainly did get the blessings of daughters-in-laws. And so while I know I have a lot of like insecurities in being a mother-in-law, am I being kind enough? Am I doing anything to bug them? Am I too intrusive? Am I, too standoffish? Those types of things. And so that's where I'm at now in my relationship.
I've got some advice for you.
What's that?
I had two things when I first became a mother-in-law that really spoke to my heart. And one of them, I was visiting with a childhood friend, and she had a wonderful mother-in-law like I did. I had a great example for
We
a
did.
mother-in-law.
We had a wonderful example.
But she told me that she'd asked her mother-in-law when my friend became a mother-in-law, give me some advice. I want to be a good mother-in-law like you are to me. And her mother-in-law looked at her and said, I'll give you one piece of advice. Keep your mouth shut. And so that's been a very valuable piece
Are
of
you
advice.
successful?
I'm trying. I try. Danielle
Is she,
can
Danielle?
correct me.
Is she successful?
Danielle can correct me if I'm not. But I know there's been times I've had to bite my tongue, and I know there's been times that Zachary's kind of had to step in and say, Mom.
Yeah.
But especially when it comes to my grandchildren. But
It's kind of cool though, when your sons do marry, because you take these girls in and you just love them like they're your own.
Yeah.
There's no, you don't have barriers, that stop you. It's just, you just love them.
yeah.
You just love them.
Well, like I told Danielle, she's really my answer to prayer.
Yeah.
I mean, that was revealed to me that week of the
Yeah.
wedding, that she was my answer to prayer.
Yeah.
But my second piece of advice, you want to hear my second piece of
Yes.
advice that I have for you?
Yes.
Let me think if I can remember what it was.
She's old.
I forgot what it was. I'll tell you later.
Okay. It's a
I'm going to
secret.
tell you guys in here in just a second. I'm going to remember it
All
because
right.
it was really good.
We are 1 minute to our 30-minute session here.
I'm not going to remember in time when you
Oh,
give me
look.
that pressure.
Danielle, you are a wonderful MIL.
Aww, isn't that sweet? See, I told you. Danielle, is there anything I'm doing wrong as a mother-in-law that you think I need to correct? I'll give her a minute to respond.
Yeah. And then what about everybody else? Anybody have questions? Come on, people, interact with us.
We've just talked and talked. Really, we thought this was going to be more interactive. This is how we get when we're together. We just talk and talk and talk.
We can't stop.
Oh, Lord, add Barbie to the mix, and oh, good Lord, we'll go on forever
Yeah. We'll have a
and ever
series.
and ever. Yeah. I know they're dying to know what my other piece of mother-in-law advice is.
I know. You'll have to do a quick live whenever you remember it to tell me. But
Gosh, it was so
anyway,
good, too.
So anyway, I know there's several people who have not, were not able to join live, they said, but if you're watching this after the live event, and I wish I had a mother-in-law like you. That's sweet. So if you're watching it after the fact and you have some questions that you would like to ask, please feel free. We'll try to respond to you through comments.
I thought of it.
Tina remembered.
You guys want to hear my last?
This is what happens when you get older. This is what happens. You lose your train of thought.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of goes away. And then when you quit thinking about it, it will suddenly come back in the middle of something else.
Read Lori's comment.
Oh,
I can't.
Lori's.
Yeah.
I think the secret to being a mother-in-law is make no judgment.
There you go. That's good.
Y'all have been great. Tina, keep us posted.
Oh, no, I remembered it now.
Okay.
I remembered it now. Can I tell you real quick?
Yes.
Danielle and I, this kind of was something we worked out very early on. And there was one time, and I don't know if she'll remember this, but she kind of got ticked off at me a little bit. And I could tell, when I walked in the room, I could tell that she was upset at me. So I asked her. And Danielle, if you guys know Danielle, she's really, really, really sweet. So she's not very confrontational at all. And she said, well, since you asked, by the way, there is. And so we sat down and I asked her and she told me, and then I explained to her my action and I, why I did what I did. And I think she had an understanding of it. And we kind of made a pact then that I'm new to this mother-in-law deal. She's new to daughter-in-law deals. So we always have to talk it out. If there's something that's bugging either one of us, if we'll just be, up front, let's talk it out and see and work it out. And I think that's helped us. At least I feel like we have a good relationship. I hope she does.
Well, she does, because she said you were a wonderful MIL.
I know. No. It's because her birthday's coming up. She's wanting a good present.
Bribery.
No, I'm teasing.
A lot of times it is about bribery. What can we do to bribe our kids?
And she's probably going,
Probably.
No.
So anyway, if you guys have any other questions, feel free. And then we really want to know your feedback. So Tina and I have really been talking about, we have had somebody to always do life with. Tina and I have done life together since we were teenagers, really. And then we also have our third partner in crime, which we call ourselves the Court of Three. So our third court is Barbie. And we always have people to bounce things off of and talk through. And it's kind of like we're each other's inner circle. And we just don't judge each other or anything. We might get mad at each other once in a while, but not for very long, because we usually
get mad at you.
Oh, awkward. Yes, she does. Anyway, now I lost my train of thought. That was a very awkward moment. So anyway, we're thinking of doing some of these off and on, just to kind of do some. Do life together with people. And so if you like this idea, let us know. If you have topic ideas, please let us know. Anyway, we've had a lot of fun. Hope you guys have had a lot of fun. So anyway.
We love you guys.
Love
and
you guys.
We'll do life with you. Give yourself lots of grace as moms.
Yes.
Because we make mistakes.
We do.
But because doesn't mean that our mistake is going to ruin our child's life. So just release yourself of that.
Yeah.
Because God obviously has a plan and a purpose for our children. And part of that plan and purpose was making us their moms. So be encouraged and don't beat yourself up.
Yeah. Yes. Please don't beat yourself up.
And don't beat up other moms either.
No. Encourage each other.
Yeah. We got to give
Don't
each other
judge.
lots and lots and lots of grace.
Lots of grace.
Don't do like I did
Grace.
Karen. Yeah. Don't do like I did Karen early on in the years.
Well, we were just young.
Yeah, we were young.
I forgave you.
Thank you.
See, and you wonder why I was mad at you? She gets it now. All right. Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
I can figure out how to turn this thing off now. Oh, how can I turn it off?
Finish. How about
Tina.
the finish button?